Hello and welcome to the Real Radio Show on UCFM 87.8, coming to you from the University of Canberra on Ngunnawal land. I'm Barrett.
And I'm Hannah.
And our producer for today is Tash. Now, Hannah, I heard you had a very special break week. Do you want to tell me about it?
I will. Well, last week I turned 21. Woo! Which is a bit exciting, but even more exciting is that I had a milestone I had to do before I turned 21, Barrett. And I just showed you a clip, but the way I spent my last few hours being 20 was that I kept all my friends up until midnight trying to beat the Ender Dragon on Minecraft.
Were we successful?
I was successful. I will say I do think we did a little bit of cheating in the end, just a smidge. And Jeanette was playing with us and she ended up teleporting us around so that we maybe got stuff done on time.
Look, we've all been there, so it's not the proudest moment, but it's a moment. So.
Listen, some stuff just has to be done. Well, speaking of exciting things, what's on today's show, Barrett?
Well, we have a lot happening on today's show, actually, so apparently you're going to be quizzing me about dance moms.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the bottom of pollution in Canberra's lakes with Dr Fiona Dyer. We talk with Nick and Stu from BlocHaus, and I try to guide Hannah through bouldering for the first time. We talk with Loose Content about their upcoming tour, and I get judgmental once again. Make sure to send us a message throughout the show on our text line 0415 774 405. You can stay up to date with everything UCFM by following at UCFM_87.8. And if you're not already tuned in on iHeartRadio to listen to UCFM wherever you are, this is The Real Radio Show.
Now, Barrett, last week we were having a little conversation and I heard that you've never watched Dance Moms. Is this still correct?
Perhaps this is true. I've seen like 3 memes from the internet.
You can't really escape the memes, unfortunately. So Dance Moms is a TLC reality show about the Abby Lee Miller Dance Company, which is about a dance teacher named Abby Lee Miller who effectively tortures children for about, 9 or 10 seasons of ridiculous dance recitals. So I'm joined here by you, Barrett, and also my friend Hannah, who is an expert on the subject. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a real or fake quiz. I'm going to list out moments from the show, and I want you guys to guess whether it really happened or not.
Okay.
Are you feeling ready, Hannah?
Oh, yeah.
Hannah and I spent multiple sleepovers watching Dance Moms, so I'm going to be very disappointed if she doesn't get a perfect score on this quiz.
You're not going to worry about it.
Well, first up, Abby brings back an old routine for Maddie to perform, and the stakes are high. Maddie will have to embody Helen Keller. Real or fake?
Real.
Real?
Real.
That is real.
I said it first, so...
I unfortunately do not have a clip of this one, but I do know a quote from it, which is that Abby, when talking to Maddie, who is probably like 8 years old in this clip, goes, "You will be blind, you will be deaf, you will be mute. You are Helen Keller." And I think that just sets up the entire show.
That's scary.
All right, number 2. During the Nationals award ceremony, one of the mums interrupts the dance to announce one of the judges is in a relationship with another competitor's mum, claiming the contest was rigged against her child, Chloe. Real or fake?
I really want that to be real.
Barrett's going real. Hannah?
Fake.
Fake. Hannah, you are correct because this is fake. She would never do that.
That would have been an amazing plot. I would have watched it just for that.
Not for the Helen Keller dance?
No.
All right, next up, drawing on another rich historical figure as inspiration, Brooke performs a dance centered around Anne Frank. Real or fake?
Real?
Real.
Real.
Real. That is correct. I believe we have a clip for that one as well.
I don't really know much about Anne Frank, but what I do know is that I don't think she was doing cartwheels.
That's a clip from one of the
She was
mums there.
doing cartwheels. Actually.
You don't know what she was doing up there. Number 4. Before becoming a number 1 pop sensation, JoJo Siwa was on Abby Lee's dance squad. For one performance, JoJo was trapped in a plastic bubble that was designed to collapse with her inside during the dance. Real or fake?
Fake?
Fake. Real. Hannah, once again, you are correct. JoJo was in fact trapped in a bubble.
I feel like this is rigged.
This is a worse reflection on me that I know so much about Dance Moms.
I was going to say, I don't know if you've got a single one wrong so far, Hannah.
What can I say?
You're just too good. All right, next one up. In another historical dance, the moms argue over who should play the role of Rosa Parks. Abby originally gives the role to the only African-American dancer, Nia, but one of the moms argues it should go to her daughter, Kendall. Real or fake?
That has to be real.
Real?
It's real.
It's real.
Too many details in that for it not to be real.
Exactly. I think we have a clip from one of the moms, Jill, talking about it.
So I'm the only one who gets in trouble for wanting something.
Well, because
for my
none of
child.
us do crazy stuff like you do to get.
What did I do crazy?
You asked Abby if Kendall could be Rosa Parks.
You asked Abby.
Oh my god, oh my god. I love how delusional some of the moms are on that show. Barrett, this is why it's addicting.
I'm sure it is.
All right. In one of the newer seasons of Dance Moms, post Abby's prison time and cancer diagnosis, one of the mums calls out Abby for being on her phone as poor theatre etiquette. Abby responds by taking the mum's phone later and airing out her search history. Real or fake?
Fake.
Fake.
I think the first half's true, the rest of it's fake.
And you would be absolutely correct. She, in fact, just rolled away and went to a police station.
I feel
to
like I'm
report.
being screwed over here with this question.
Well, listen, Barrett, it's on you for not watching Dance Moms.
How would I know if it's real and fake at the same time?
I got to make these more complicated for you guys. Well, this next one is a little bit easier. So this is just a basic fact about the show that happens each episode, you might think. So each week, Abby ranks the dancers on her team with a pyramid from the bottom to the top. Real or fake?
Real. I've seen that meme.
Real.
That is correct. All right, and this is our final question, guys. I'm sure you guys are neck and neck with your scores. All right, JoJo gets her big solo playing the role of a car crash victim, exploring the devastating impact of texting while driving. Real or fake?
Fake.
Fake from Barrett.
Could you repeat the start of it?
JoJo gets her big solo playing the role of a car crash victim.
Okay, false.
False. Why is it false, Hannah?
Because it wasn't JoJo who did that dance.
That is correct. It was a group dance, and I believe we have a clip from that one as well.
The stage, the last text.
I'm a little afraid that something called The Last Text may be a little too bloody and gory for a national title.
Nah.
It was a very dark dance, I have to say. I was moved.
Yeah,
I was
but they
emotional.
won.
They did win. So clearly Abby Lee Miller knows what she's talking about. All right, guys, I've got the results here. Drum roll, please. The winner is Hannah with, I believe, a perfect score of 8. And Barrett, you didn't do too bad. You actually have a score of 5. So, hey.
That's kudos in itself. Yeah,
exactly.
I'll take that.
You reckon you're going to watch the show after this?
No. I have better things to do with my time, unfortunately.
Fair enough. All right. Well, keep on listening. Up soon, we'll have a look at Canberra's lakes and concerns from the community regarding pollution with a special expert guest appearance from the freshwater scientist, Dr. Fiona Dyer, to unpack all of our burning questions. I don't know about you, Barrett, but I love a walk. And my favourite way to spend my afternoon is going around the lake with my corgi, you know, whether it's Lake Tuggeranong, the Bridge to Bridge walk, or Yarralumla. You know, it's quite serene. You get to look at the sunset, the Order of Leaves, and some of the national buildings. But what hasn't been a really good view of late is the lakes around Canberra. You might notice they're looking a little bit more green than blue. What have you seen with the lakes lately, Barrett?
I'm aware that they're like lower than usual, which is making them gross at the moment, but yeah, just me, like I'll ride my bike around it instead of walking because I love a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, just going around, you can definitely like smell it, and it's just not as nice as I would like it to be.
No, it's there's been some bright green blue algae blooms in particular around Lake Burley Griffin, which has been not the best thing to see.
No.
And then, you know, I think there's also just some general problems with pollution we've been witnessing. They recently had a Clean Up Lake Tuggeranong event, which makes sense because me and Tash were walking around there last year and we actually saw a dead fish in the water next to a shopping cart in the water. Which,
See, the shopping cart, you know, that's I'll let that pass.
but a dead fish.
The dead fish.
It's like that scene in, you know, The Simpsons when the lake gets really polluted.
And they'll all just float up to the top. Yep.
It is giving a little bit of that energy. But, you know, Canberra has quite a few things that they do to test the lake quality of things around here. So, for example, the ACT has guidelines for recreational water quality, which is used by the National Capital Authority and the ACT government to interpret test samples from Canberra's lakes, particularly looking at levels of bacteria and blue-green algae. So they're tested pretty frequently. If you look on the City Services or the National Capital Authority website, you'll find water quality, which gives out pretty frequent warnings about, you know, what's going on, you know, letting you know whether or not it would be safe safe to do something like swimming or, going on a boat or, even something as simple as just being near the water in general. Because we did have a little bit of controversy last year. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but 2 dogs passed away in relation to blue-green algae poisoning.
That was very sad. And I think on that same week, some guy posted himself swimming in Lake Canberra.
A lot of stuff back to back that leaves us a little bit concerned. But with this background in mind, I was curious about how other Canberrans felt about the state of our lakes. So here's what you had to say. Would you swim in Canberra's man-made lakes, and have you done any activities in one of Canberra's lakes recently?
I have swam in Lake G. I don't know how safe it is now. Would I do it? Prob not. The man-made lakes I have not swam in, but I have swum in the Murrumbidgee River, so that's quite nice. Have I done any activities at the lakes these days? Literally no. I think that there isn't really much to do there unless you have a boat.
Well, I don't think I would swim in Canberra's lakes because I've heard the news about what's been happening. That stuff happened with a dog, and it just makes me a little bit afraid.
I do know they do that dumb thing with the inflatable whatever the who around Yarralumla, and I think that is crazy. I think that considering what Ben said about that damn dog with the green algae poisoning, why would anyone want to go and jump in and hang out with some inflatable thing? So yeah, not for me, guys.
How do you feel about the health of Canberra's man-made lakes?
I don't really know too much about the health of it, but I'll tell you, sis looks kind of dirty and gross. She needs a bit of a shower. I did see that kangaroo fell into it not too long ago, and
because the kangaroo fell in and then it immediately dissolved.
Yeah, it immediately dissolved like acid. No. I think a police officer got into the water to save the kangaroo, and it did not look great. So
I don't think they're necessarily that much of a risk, but obviously they are because of what happened with that dog. They're man-made. What ecosystem is there?
We've just heard opinions from the community about Canberra's lakes and pollution concerns. For an expert opinion on the subject, we're joined by freshwater scientist and Professor of Water Science at the University of Canberra, Dr Fiona Dyer. Dr Dyer, thank you so much for joining us to share your insights.
Pleasure.
So I wanted to ask you, your research and projects have been heavily involved in water research management, water quality, and climate change's impact on water systems. What led you into this field?
It's a little bit by accident. It wasn't a designed career path, but I've got a very strong interest in water and always have had. I quite like being in water, around water, with water. And so I had quite a mixed background, studying a chemistry degree, working in a paint company, and then going and doing a PhD, applying my chemistry to understanding the movement of nutrients around the landscape. And nutrients are really important when it comes to water quality. And so that really provided the foundation to end up in this space.
Cool. And on that note, what are the key differences in managing water quality in man-made lakes like Lake Burley Griffin versus natural rivers and lakes, like, for example, Murrumbidgee and Lake George, respectively?
Okay, so it's less about whether they're man-made and natural, but more about the differences in the way in which they behave. So something like the Murrumbidgee River, natural river system, flows from up in the high country, dammed by Tantangara Dam, very close to the headwaters of it, so a significant proportion of the water is taken out of the Murrumbidgee at that point and transferred through the Snowy Hydro scheme, and then the water flows down. Some of that water then flows down below Tantangara Dam and ultimately through the ACT. It's a flowing water system, and moving water is one of the things that helps prevent water quality challenges within a river system. When it comes to our lakes, we've got a series of urban lakes in Canberra. They're man-made, but they drain urban areas. So they drain areas that have got a high proportion of hard surfaces. So things run off water runs off those hard surfaces really quickly, picks up the urban grunge and carries it into the lakes. Lake George, located in a rural catchment largely, so that some of it's forested, natural areas, and some of it's farmed. And so it just has to deal with farm runoff and runoff from those natural areas. So it's a lot about what runs into the lake more than whether it's man-made or natural.
That definitely makes sense. But you've previously been interviewed by the ABC and said that Canberra Lakes safety varies across the year. Has there been a change in how often Canberra's lakes have to be have to be closed for safety? And generally speaking, is this level of variation normal?
So over the last 10 years, there's been an increase in closures of the lakes, which in some ways is what you would expect over a long period of time as you get a build-up of urban runoff going into those lakes. Yep. Some of the lakes do better than others. So Lake Ginninderra has done better than Lake Tuggeranong and Lake Burley-Griffin over the years. Lake Burley-Griffin tends to be quite variable, reflecting the mix of land uses that drain into Lake Burley-Griffin. So it does vary. We do expect it that unless we do something to improve the quality of water running into those lakes, we do expect it to continue to decline.
And with that, does climate change impact water sources, and what can you do to mitigate any of these consequences?
Yeah, I think that's the million-dollar question, really. Climate change has multiple effects on water quality. So as our climate warms, the water warms. Something like blue-green algae needs warm water to proliferate. We have the advantage here in Canberra where it gets kind of chilly over winter, and that means that algae can't grow. Blue-green algae doesn't really grow all year round within these systems. It's still present because it re-establishes, but it doesn't bloom and create the problems that we get. As our climate warms, it means the period over which we expect that we could get a bloom in the lake increases. So there's a longer period of time that it can increase. As our climate changes and it gets more variable, one of the other challenges we face is extremes of rainfall. So those intense storms that wash materials into the lake, the frequency of those will increase. And so the probability of getting more of the urban grunge in the lake increases. The other thing is the sequencing of periods when it's super dry, which means that your grasses and things, you lose them from your land surface. So when you do get a dump of rain after that, you've got nothing protecting your land surface to stop erosion and materials getting into the lake. So it's really quite a challenging system in which to operate as the climate changes. The mitigation piece for me in an urban environment is about people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's about people looking after their patch. It's people being conscious that what's in the drain and what's in the gutter ultimately gets washed into the lake. And if you don't want to swim in it, you need to take it out of that source location. And so for me, there's Canberrans are great. Really?
Comparatively, yeah.
One of the things I keep coming back to, people kind of ask me this quite frequently, if anywhere can make a difference, Canberra can make a difference in these areas. Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
And before you go, I'd like to ask, would you like to see more recreational use out of Canberra's lakes? And how do you think you encourage the community to sort of get more involved with it?
I love a good swim in a lake. I love a good swim in a river. And I'm very conscious that there are challenges when it comes to the quality of water and our public health. I would really like Canberrans to get behind trying to make sure that the quality of water in our lakes is the best it can possibly be. Yeah. So we have those recreational opportunities. There is nothing better on a hot summer's afternoon than going and jumping in the lake. It's free. It's beautiful fresh water. It's just a really nice thing to do. And if we want to continue to enjoy that, then we have to do what we can to try and protect that water quality. In terms of more recreational activity, that's about maintaining the quality of water in these systems to ensure that people can enjoy it.
Absolutely. Well, it'd be great to see more involvement like the Clean Up Lake Tuggeranong project. Well, thank you so much for lending us your time, Dr. Dyer. Hopefully we'll be seeing more community support for Canberra's lakes and keeping them clean in the future. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
This week, I taught Hannah all of my pro tips on bouldering, from my skills to actually using her feet instead of looking like a dead spider on the wall.
Okay, all right. Easy. Yeah. It was very, very challenging, I will say. I didn't actually know that bouldering involves not having a harness. So I think that I was really, when I was going into it, I was like, oh, this will be fine. It's like rock climbing. I'm decent at that. But then we walked into BlocHaus. I had fake nails on. And actually, I had to use my body strength
as well.
And the jeans. I was so ill prepared. And Barrett, how do you think I did?
Look, I've seen worse. Your friend Hannah was better though.
Yes, I do think she had better form than I did. But I don't know. It was a hard challenge, but it was really, really fun. So I was asking you this at the time, but how did you get into bouldering anyway?
Yeah. So about high school, me and one of my mates, we both lived like in Breadbow, and I've got to go drop my bike off to get fixed in Fishwick. We went to the bouldering place in Fishwick because he was already into it, and then I just kind of like, this is such a good way to like gain strength. I've only been doing cycling for like the past however long that I can remember. I had no upper body strength. And like this was my chance. This is my chance to be strong.
To get the guns.
Yeah, and like a gym doesn't interest me in the slightest. Bouldering, far more interesting.
I will say there's a really fun challenge element to it with, like you said, people will choose a project, which is that they'll have a specific climb that's difficult and they'll just keep working on it over the weeks.
Yep.
Which is really cool.
They do reset it. You've got a timer. You've only got like a month until they reset all of like everything. So
well, that's good motivation actually.
Exactly, yeah. But today, you and we had a sit-down with one of the workers there, Nick, to have a chat about BlocHaus. And earlier in the week, I caught up with one of my bouldering friends, Stu, to talk about why he loves climbing so much. Here it is.
All right, so Nick, what made you want to work at BlocHaus to begin with?
So I guess I'd been climbing here for a while beforehand. And yeah, I started to really enjoy climbing and I guess the community around climbing as well. And yeah, I thought that it would be a really nice environment to work in. And yeah, it's proven me right. I have some really nice colleagues, and it's just a good way to be around the community while I enjoy climbing.
Yeah. So, what are the programs that BlocHaus offer as far as like social events and teaching classes go?
Yeah, we have a couple of different initiatives. So in terms of classes, we have kids classes that run across the term for younger kids with different abilities, and then we have adult classes, and then we also have non-climbing classes. We have parkour and we have yoga, and then we have a couple of different initiatives as well for different groups. We have an affinity initiative, a climbing QTs, a she boulders, maybe a couple others, but yeah, nice communities for different groups of people as well. Yeah.
So on the climbing, what do you think are the main benefits of climbing in general, fitness-wise?
I think it's a really nice, like, all-round kind of workout. You're using a lot of your pulling muscles, but then also you're using like your core and your legs and and your arms as well, obviously. So yeah, fitness-wise, I think it's great.
Do you think there are any downsides to climbing?
Downsides to climbing, I guess if you climb too much, you can get some kind of like longer term injuries from straining your body and your particular hands and your fingers a lot. But if you kind of are just a bit sensible with moderating how much you do, it's not too bad. People can also get pretty obsessive about climbing, which can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. A lot of people will use the word project, but work on a single climb for a long time, and maybe get a bit of tunnel vision without doing other things. But on the whole, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And on that note, what's your favourite part of climbing?
I think I personally like just movement of the body, and I guess climbing, you get into a lot of different unique positions. And it just feels good on the wall, and it also has a bit of a problem-solving aspect, so just figuring out how to do something, also if you're with a friend or friends and figuring out together, it's just a really nice feeling. So I'd say, those kind of things.
And for our final question, what would you say to someone unsure of if they wanted to give climbing a try?
I'd say you won't regret it. Normally when you try something new, you don't regret it. You don't have to do it again. I'd say like a lot of people are beginners. Most people who come to BlocHaus for the first time haven't really done any other kind of climbing. So it's definitely a sport that is accessible to beginners. And just the way it's designed as well. It's like there are easier climbs and there's harder climbs. I'd probably say very beginner friendly. You're not the first one to be a bit worried and anxious about it, but everyone's really supportive, and I'm sure you'll find some friends along the way as well.
Well, thank you so much, Nick.
Yeah, no worries.
Today I am joined by climber Stuart Ward. Stuart, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, man. So I wanted to start off today's interview by asking you, how long have you been climbing and what got you interested in climbing in the first place?
So I've been climbing for a little over 3 years now, pushing to 3.5. And what got me into climbing was I did a few, school excursions, special events at a lead climbing place where you got your harness in Mitchell. And from there, I was like, I really enjoy this. I think I'm pretty good at it. I've always found that I'm relatively good with body weight stuff. Been able to do chin-ups for a while. So I was like, this is my thing. And then, I was like, let me give it a go. There's some lessons I can do. And started from there.
Nice. And you said you started on lead climbing. What would you say is your favourite style of climbing?
So I've only done lead and bouldering, and I much prefer bouldering because I just like how you can go by yourself, do what you want to do. You're not restricted by others. Yeah, you can go with friends and all work on something together, but you're not having to, spend half your time belaying and doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a favourite spot or gym that you climb at?
So I regularly climb at the BlocHaus Mitchell. It's probably my favourite one that I've climbed at, but I've not climbed at too many different gyms.
Interesting. What do you think are the pros of climbing?
So I feel like it's a really good sport to build a lot of confidence in not only yourself, but it could be even to overcome a fear of heights, because I know plenty of people that I've gone with who have that fear of heights. They'll get halfway up the wall and go, you know what, that's it for me. But then later throughout the session, I'm going to start building this up. I'm feeling more confident, even if it's on some of the easier climbs. They start to really improve that, coming over that fear. But not only that, it's just a great way to keep fit. It's not overly taxing, but because you can do various different ranges. If you're not feeling like doing too much one day, you can just work on some easier stuff. It's not like running where it's like, okay, you're still going to have to do a distance to get something out of it. But climbing, it's like you can do the little amount of climbing on easy climbs, or you can do a lot on hard climbs. It's really variable. And it's also just really social. You wouldn't think a sport like bouldering, where you're doing it by yourself, could be so social, but I regularly find myself talking and engaging with other people that I don't even know at the gym, just because we're all trying to work something out, or see someone else do something really cool and have a bit of a laugh about it. And so plenty of positives to the sport.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that there are any cons of climbing?
As I said before, that is a really good way to come over your fear of heights. But if you do have a fear of heights, then 9 times out of 10 you're just not going to want to do it. And also you do have to have a specific body, not body type, but strength in yourself to be able to do it, because a lot of people aren't going to want their fingers just hurting trying to hold on by half a centimeter of,
a little more, yeah.
Some can do half a millimeter, half a centimeter of a hold. And so if you've got a proper fear of heights, it's not something for you. You're not going to want to do it. And also you've got to be pretty fit already to start off. But even then, climbing does offer some really, really simple stuff to work yourself into it. So there's really not too many cons about it. I guess it is quite dangerous at some points. I've never had a truly bad fall. I've been very lucky with some of my falls from just bouldering, but if you extend out from bouldering, even if you go outdoor bouldering or start to use harnesses, do the higher climbs, that's where it can get quite dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. But onto the more positive note now, what for you is your favourite part about climbing, and what's kept you doing it for the past 3 years?
So the main thing that's kept me doing it is really just completely fell in love with the sport when I first started. So when I started, as I said, I was doing some lessons at a lead climbing place, which I wasn't enjoying too much. I took myself up a little bit here. I felt I came in and I was put in too low of a group. I felt pretty quickly I was able to outclimb a lot of them, but I was new to the sport, so obviously they're going to put me in a lower group, but then they just didn't really want to advance me. So that's when then I switched over to bouldering, which I've really just fallen in love with. I've always enjoyed a bit of adrenaline stuff, and there'll be a dyno, so a big jump or something that you have to do, and you're like, I'm just going to go for it because, why not? It's something I really enjoy doing. Let me see how far I can jump and see if I can reach this. I'll use an example. There was a climb that I tried on a few days ago. It was a very new one that I hadn't tried before, and it was a really big dino up high. And I get up there, and I'm like, maybe I'll give it a go next. I'm like, no, just send it now. Yeah. And I managed to get it. And it's just quite a good sense of achievement once you've finished something that you've been working on for a few weeks. You'll be pushing, probably get quite a bit sore, a few cuts or something trying to work on it, and then you get it. And it's just a feeling of enjoyment that I don't really find anywhere else, really.
Yeah, it's like winning a battle that you've been struggling for
exactly.
weeks.
It's trying to break down a puzzle at the same time.
And for my final question, what would you say to someone unsure if they wanted to give climbing a try?
I'd say give it a go. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But the most important thing you can do is always try something. And if you get there and you're just unsure of everything, climbers, I've always found, are just such nice people that you can go up to any of them and ask, hey, can you help me with this? What's your thoughts on this? I've had it happen to me before. I've just been working myself and then had a group of people come up to me who are clearly, very new to the sport going, hey, we're really struggling with this one. We know it's probably quite a bit below your skill level, but you reckon you can help us with it? And I've always been more than happy to. So I feel like give it a go. It's such a welcoming sport, such a welcoming community. And 9 times out of 10, you'll either enjoy it, have a good time going, but maybe it's not your thing, or just have a good experience with some people there.
Well, that's all I had, Stu. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's all good. Thank you for having me.
We just played Newsreader and Big Bright Burning Sun by Loose Content, a 3-piece indie alt-rock band known for weaving together political commentary and youthful defiance into Australian punk anthems. We're lucky enough to be joined on the phone by Loose Content themselves. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Oh. Give us a moment, guys. We're having a bit of technical difficulties, but in the meantime, I'll give you some background on Loose Content themselves. We've got Miller, the vocalist and bass player, Sam Sanders, the guitarist, and Akila Porter, the drummer and backing vocalist. Barrett, you were saying that you actually really enjoyed their music.
I did, surprisingly. I hadn't heard of them, but this was definitely not what I was expecting, but still really enjoyable nonetheless.
Yeah, because when you listen to music, I feel like you listen to a little bit of something with a bit of melodrama, a bit of...
What? No.
What were you saying last week? You love a bit of yearning. You love a bit of...
yearning, drama. A bit of sadness, a bit of I'm not okay, but I am.
All right, I think we're joined by Loose Content now. Are you guys there?
Hey, yeah, we're here. Thanks so much for having us.
All good. Thank you so much for coming on, and apologies for the technical difficulties. Now, you guys are on an Australian tour at the moment. What do you reckon has been your strangest touring experience over your music career?
Maybe not the strangest. I'm not sure about strangest, but the kind of most memorable one was the first ever tour we went on, which was when we were still at during the end of high school. And we did a tour with Magic Dirt, and we were still all kind of under 18 at the time.
Yeah.
That was just an amazing kind of really memorable and fun experience.
Of course. Now, I did have a little peek at your YouTube channel, guys, and I saw that you've released a few music videos over the years. How do you plan out the imagery for each video, and do you have any particular inspirations that you use?
I think, a lot of the inspiration probably comes from individual songs. But outside of that, I feel like a lot of the time we're inspired by a lot of classic Australian bands like Midnight Oil and Powderfinger. And sort of we drew little bits of inspiration from different videos that we grew up watching. But yeah, especially in this latest project, I feel like it varied a lot, and it felt like each song sort of had its own visual world that it lived in, and it was quite an eclectic sort of difference between song to song.
And on the note of visuals, who does the cover art for your EPs, songs, and what drew you to that style?
Well, actually, we kind of had that felt that style works for us, but we were trying to actually find some professional visual artists to help us out in terms of designing single covers and the EP cover, but we ended up kind of not being able to find an artist who did exactly what we had envisioned, so we just decided to do it ourselves.
Oh,
so
cool.
It's actually Aquila and I who's on the line as well, who painted all of the single covers and the album cover.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, they look really cool. I'm definitely a big fan of them.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
And Loose Content first formed in Byron Bay when you guys were in high school. How have you found the switch to Melbourne?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big place, Melbourne. I think personally in a lot of our lives, we sort of had to change our lifestyles a bit and become a bit more city orientated. But as a band, it's been really, really positive. And I think, that was always the driving force of being here. Just seeing so many young musicians and bands and all these great little projects everywhere, and being able to be so amongst an actual scene has been super driving for us. Just to make the best music that we can.
Yeah, definitely. And as a band with a bit of punk influence, it's natural for politics to be an inspiration in your music. How have you gone about including political commentary into that music?
I think some of it is more kind of metaphorical and a bit more figurative, but a lot of it is also just very explicit and honest and pretty simple. I think we like to go about it in a mixture of ways, and some of it being a little bit more kind of hidden in messaging, but I think also we just try and be true to what we believe in, and get that across to the people that like to listen to what we have to say.
Absolutely. And on the note of inspirations, I did see on your Spotify you guys list Radiohead and The Police as some of your big influences. What elements drew you to those bands in particular?
I think sonically, a lot of the elements that they bring into their production, particularly on the structure of a lot of the songs they write, we really try to draw from that. Those two references you mentioned, they're really good at sort of the adding surprises to their songs and using dynamics to their advantage to sort of evoke different feelings and to really contrast different ideas within the same song, which I think we've always been very much inspired by.
And all of those two bands in particular actually one very notable part of each of those bands is their drummers. And I think being a three-piece band and actually all originally kind of being drummers, and that's how we met, having the drums play a massive role, not only in the rhythm of the song, but even in terms of the melody and the pitch and other things that drums, you don't necessarily think when songwriting that drums kind of contribute to those aspects. But I think those two bands in particular really do a good job at having drums be a real important instrument in their writing.
Yeah, of course. I think drums are a little bit of an unsung hero when it comes to a lot of bands. They're a little bit hidden in the background, but they do play a pretty important role. Now, you guys are performing this Saturday at Descent Bar and Cafe. What song are you most looking forward to playing?
Ooh, I think most gigs, we always look forward to playing this one song, Swoon, that we actually don't have released anywhere. It's purely a live song.
Ooh, exclusive.
At this stage. So if you're wanting to hear it, you have to come down. But yeah, that's definitely, I feel at this point in time for this project, it's the song. It's the one that a lot of people talk about afterwards at the gig, and it's one that always just seems to sit on another level to the rest of the project. But I'd say from the EP, personally, I'm always very excited to play No One Left to Call. I love that song a lot.
Yeah. Is there any other favourites that you guys have?
There's a song on there called Big Bright Burning Sun, which is one of the singles that we did a video with. And that, playing that live, we have a really kind of fun intro to that song on the live show. It's the final song of the set, and it's very theatrical and big, and it's just fun to play.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, especially with this exclusive song that you guys are going to be playing. Well, thank you so much, Mila, Sam, and Akia, for joining us on the show, and best of luck to you guys for your performance. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
And now, thank you so much, guys. For those listening, tickets are still available to grab for Loose Content's performance this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on Humanitix. Be quick and snag them while you can.
Welcome to this week's Barrett's Judgment. This week, Hannah, I've been set up. Set up. So, as you know, I'm a diehard Olivia Rodrigo fan.
Yes, you are.
And she released her new song, Drop Dead, on Friday, which is blowing up everywhere at the moment. Little did I know that her main contender on the Billboard Hottest 100 right now is Ella Langley.
Oh.
So I spent the whole week listening to Ella Langley and not putting the time in that I should be to my queen, Olivia.
I was going to say, I did notice before that your lock screen photo is in fact Olivia Rodrigo.
That's one of them. It changes. I've just got the album covers.
You've got a good selection going on there.
Yeah. But this week I did talk to the Monday matchup NRL expert, Michaela, who gave me Ella Langley, as I said, who is one of the biggest artists in the world right now with her newest album, Dandelion. And Michaela, when I talked to her, she was telling me that she loves Ella because how she's able to blend modern country with grit and attitude with this relatable storytelling. She writes about these messy relationships, independence, and real-life emotions without sugarcoating anything. If you like lyrics that feel honest and sometimes just really blunt, that's a big pull of hers. Her songs often balance strength with emotion. 1 minute's defiant, the next it's reflective. And that contrast tends to hook people and Michaela who want both the edge and the depth of Ella's music. If you enjoy country but want something fresher or closer to pop rock in energy, she sits right in that lane. And I do agree with Michaela on a lot of these points. And as far as it goes for me listening to it, I didn't hate it. I kind of wanted to deep down, but I didn't hate it, and I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And little background to me, as I mentioned a little earlier in this show, I grew up in a very country environment.
Right.
In Bredbo, I grew up around a lot of country music, so this was very peaceful and relaxing for me to listen to. But I do think with Ella, she does fall into a lot of stereotypes. I don't know if you guys have heard Bo Burnham's country song.
Yes. Pandering.
I think her main song at the moment, Choosing Texas, is very much in that vibe of like, I'm from Tennessee, they're from okay. And also they all have this southern accent. Like, do you think, I don't know if they're putting it on or not, country artists.
Oh, it's definitely performative.
Like surely they don't all just happen to have the most strongest southern accent, but then any other artist that's from Texas or that area in America just sound normal.
Also, you got to remember as well that when people sing, they usually adopt the same sort of like standard American accent. So they must really be putting effort into putting it on.
They're just really putting in that southern, you know how it is, but
country
music. But I did, as I was saying, I did actually enjoy her music. And I enjoyed all of her albums, actually. I don't have a favorite, I don't have a least favorite album. I think they all work into each other really well. Like at the beginning, she's it starts with like the sadder album in Excuse the Mess, where she's talking about being in a toxic relationship. Hungover goes through the aftermath of that relationship and how she's getting over it and her emotions through that. And then Dandelion is the what it's like to go through all of that and then come out on the other side in a better state of mind. And through it, the albums kept on improving, and she really started to find herself and her music style throughout that, which I really enjoyed listening to. For Michaela, her favorite song is Your Boots, Bottom of Your Boots, which is a song all about tapping into raw rejection, but with attitude and sharp lyrics, which she still makes relatable and catchy. While I didn't hate that song, definitely wasn't my favorite. My favorite songs from Ella were Hell of a Man, which we just listened to, and my more favorite, which was Butterfly Season. Butterfly Season in particular just has that more upbeat, at peace, moving on to better things vibe, which I really loved, and I think Ella really stood out in that song. And in that song, she also collabs with Miranda Lambert, and I think this song is definitely one of the best from her new album. As far as my rankings go, at the moment, so Paris, she's still at number 1, Genesis at number 2. It was a bit of toss-up here, but I'm going to keep Teen Jesus at number 3, and then Ella Langley at 4, and then Daniel Season still sitting there at the bottom at number 5. But that is all for Barrett's Judgment this week, and it's about time we wrap up the show.
That is right, Barrett. That's all we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in to The Real Radio Show. Thanks as well to our guests for today, Dr. Fiona Dyer, Nick and Stu, who helped talk to us about bouldering, along with Sam, Miller and Akila from Loose Content. Make sure to follow our socials at UCFM_87.8. We'll be back again next Tuesday, and you can find past episodes of this show and all other UCFM shows on our website, ucfm.com.au, or listen to the podcast version wherever you get your podcasts. Bye.
Bye.